Welcome, my dear Aries souls, both the brave hearts who've been with me since Saturn last strolled through Sagittarius, and those of you freshly tuning in, still trying to decide whether this channel is a cosmic lighthouse or just another flame for your moth-like curiosity. Either way, you've landed at Zodiac Talks Tarot, where astrology is deep, tarot is sacred, and nothing is watered down for likes, though yes, I'll absolutely take one if you're offering. Today, we're diving into the reading titled Aries, Prophecy Unfolding. This is a big deal, originally shared by Paul of Dove and Serpent Tarot. And trust me, he wasn't kidding, this really is a big deal. Paul opens with a beautifully crafted invocation calling on the sun, the moon, the wand's flame, and the pentacle of earth. It's part sacred ritual, part cosmic roll call. If you've got Aries in your sun, moon, or rising, you're already on the guest list for this energetic summit. As someone who's been decoding the stars since Pluto's last visit to Scorpio, which, for the record, was before half of today's TikTok astrologers were even born, I always say, tarot isn't about predicting lottery numbers or soulmates. It's about pulling the veil back and telling the truth your higher self already whispered in your sleep. And today's truth for Aries? It burns bright and unstoppable. We kick things off with the Princess of Wands, your cosmic doppelganger in many ways. She's fierce, impulsive, brimming with creativity, and, wait for it, pausing. Yes, you heard me right. Aries, you of all signs are hesitating. You, who usually leap before you check if there's a floor beneath you. There's a gap between your fire and your action right now, and that pause is sacred. I've seen this often in those I call the chosen ones, souls on a divine trajectory who feel the weight of their next step before they take it. That hesitation? It's not weakness. It's not fear. It's the ego flailing in the final seconds before surrender. It's the soul doing a system check before launching into the unknown. So if you're feeling a strange cocktail of excitement and resistance, don't panic. You're not broken, you're evolving. What you're sensing is the gravitational pull of something extraordinary, and your inner compass is taking a second to recalibrate. You're not here for small shifts. You're standing at the mouth of a destiny that demands presence, power, and yes, maybe just a bit of patience. And that, Aries, is where your true fire begins. Let's talk about what I like to call a cosmic traffic jam, because when you pull this many major arcana in one spread, the universe isn't just whispering. It's banging pots and pans together, yelling, "Hey! You! Aries! Eyes up, something big's happening." We've got the Wheel of Fortune, the universe, the Empress, the Star, the Magician, the Hanged Man, and even the Ten of Cups thrown in for emotional garnish. This isn't your average pick a card love reading. This is what I'd call a destiny download, and yes, it comes with all the celestial upgrades and system reboots. Imagine ordering a spiritual snack and getting served a 7-course karmic feast instead. That's what we're dealing with here. Now, when this much major arcana shows up, it's a sign the divine has temporarily hijacked your plot line. You're not making small decisions anymore like, should I ghost my situationship? No, you're being invited into a full-on energetic transformation. And for the chosen ones, yes, Aries, I'm looking at you, this is where the real work begins. The universe has slid the contract across the table, pen uncapped. The only thing it's waiting on? Your signature in fire. Now, let's zoom in on your battle card, the Wheel of Fortune. Oh yes, the good old cosmic roulette wheel. This one asks a very sacred, and slightly terrifying, question: can you trust what you can't control? Because this opportunity, whatever it is, new love, wild career twist, cross-country soul leap, it doesn't come with a return policy. Divine timing means the invitation arrives whether you feel ready or not. Paul's story about passing on a band tour because it felt too risky? Been there. But here's what I've learned after decades of watching stars and souls: comfort is the enemy of becoming. And the question you'll face, again and again, is this: how many lifetimes are you willing to play it safe before you finally say yes to what you're here to do? Trust me, Aries. The wheel is turning. Don't miss your cue. If you've ever stood at the edge of a cliff metaphorically or otherwise and felt both terrified and thrilled, then congratulations, Aries, you're standing face to face with the universe card. This isn't just another spiritual milestone. This is your soul's siren song calling you to expand, evolve, and step off the ledge with nothing but faith to catch you. No itinerary, no backup plan, no emotional seatbelt. Just you, your destiny, and the kind of wild trust that makes even seasoned monks sweat a little. The universe card doesn't care how ready you feel. Readiness is a myth anyway. What it's asking is, are you willing? Willing to let go of the known and dance with the cosmic unknown? True chosen ones don't wait for the perfect conditions. They say yes mid-air, build the wings on the way down, and still manage to look fabulous doing it. But let's be honest, this kind of expansion doesn't come without baggage. Enter the Six of Swords, dragging behind it a suitcase full of logic, linear thinking, and laminated road maps. This is the karmic residue of all those times you picked the safe route. The predictable one. The one that made your inner child yawn. You had your MapQuest printouts, your backup snacks, your planned rest stops, and still, a little voice inside kept whispering, what if we took that weird exit with the blinking neon sign? But you didn't. You stayed in the lane, followed the schedule, and now you're haunted by the ghost of what might have been. The Six of Swords is that moment when your higher self nudges you and says, you know growth doesn't live in your comfort zone, right? And you're like, yeah, but it's got great Wi-Fi and snacks. Which brings us to the real heartbeat of this reading, the Empress. She's not some gentle garden fairy handing out daisies. She's the embodiment of divine creativity, sacred responsibility, and soul-level commitment. This card says you're not just dreaming up castles in the sky, you're here to build them, brick by brick. And let me tell you, Aries, this is where the real chosen ones earn their title. Because it's one thing to chase a dream when everyone's clapping. It's another to nurture that dream when no one believes in it but you. The Empress is the part of you that waters seeds in a drought, that protects your vision like it's your own child, that keeps showing up even when progress is invisible. She doesn't do fast results or half-baked ideas. She births empires. Slowly, fiercely, unapologetically. So here's your cosmic reality check: you're being called to expand into the unknown, release the ghosts of your past patterns, and commit like never before to what wants to be born through you. It won't be safe. It won't be logical. And it certainly won't be mediocre. But oh, will it be worth it? Ah, the star. If there's one card in the tarot deck that makes seasoned readers pause and smile knowingly, it's this one. Why? Because the star doesn't yell, doesn't chase, and doesn't push. It calls. Quietly. Persistently. From deep within your spirit. And when it shows up in a spread, especially in this kind of major energy reading, it's not just a gentle cosmic pat on the back. It's a full-on spiritual GPS rerouting you toward your highest, truest self. You know, the version of you who already knows what to do, what to choose, and who to become. The star is your soul's North Star. Not the ego's vision board or Pinterest-worthy 5-year plan. This is the lighthouse your spirit built long before your ego learned how to color inside the lines. And let's not pretend the message is subtle. That gentle whisper from the universe you sometimes get? This time it's a neon billboard flashing, align now. Not someday, not after Mercury retrograde, and definitely not when the vibe feels right. Now. And here's the twist: deep down, you already know it. That future version of you is reaching back through time, nudging you toward who you were always meant to be. A little spooky? Maybe. A little exhilarating? Absolutely. That's soul evolution. But before you get too starry-eyed, let's talk about the magician. Oh yes, the showman of the deck, the shapeshifter, the spiritual Swiss Army knife. This card lands right in your persona position, reminding you that you're not just a fiery Aries charging ahead on instinct. You're also adaptable, creative, and infinitely resourceful. Think of this card as the universe saying, you already have the tools. The wand, the sword, the cup, the pentacle, it's all in your toolkit. You just have to stop doubting it. Here's the thing most people get wrong: chosen ones don't wait to be ready. They become ready by showing up. Half the battle is just saying yes and figuring it out on the way. The magician doesn't ask if the timing is perfect, he makes the moment his. So if you've been waiting for someone to hand you permission, congratulations. This card is your permission slip. Now go alchemize that ordinary Tuesday into something magical. And yet, we arrive at the Princess of Swords. Oh boy! The overthinker. The inner analyst. The mental trickster who can draft a 42-page argument for why you shouldn't follow your intuition and deliver it with a straight face. This is analysis paralysis at its finest. You're not just second-guessing, you're restaging a full-blown filibuster on your own destiny. And what's worse, you're doing it under the guise of being smart or thinking it through. But here's the truth that took me years of chart reading, meditation, and watching people self-sabotage their soul paths to learn: the ego is a master of disguise. It'll dress fear up as logic, slap a PowerPoint on it, and convince you that it's being reasonable. But alignment doesn't always make sense at first glance. That's why it's spiritual, not spreadsheet science. So where does this leave you? With a choice. The star calls you forward. The magician says you're ready. The Princess of Swords says, but wait, what if and you, Aries, have to decide which voice gets the mic? Because the future you're dreaming of? It's already waving. All you have to do is stop arguing with your own expansion and say yes. Let's talk about one of the most underrated yet universal fears I've seen, not just in the countless birth charts I've read, but in life itself: the fear of getting exactly what you want. Yes, really. That's what the Ten of Cups reveals when it shows up in the shadow position. You see, Aries, it's not failure that terrifies you deep down, it's fulfillment. Think about it. What happens if the dream relationship does arrive? If the creative project does succeed? If you actually reach that emotional summit you've been climbing toward? Here's the twist: now you're responsible for keeping it. And that, my fiery friend, is where the real inner work begins. From a psychological perspective, we're wired to chase. Desire keeps the engine of identity humming. But once the chase ends, and you're sitting in the proverbial backyard of your own happily ever after, suddenly you hear this little voice saying, wait, now what? That's the existential hangover nobody warns you about. Joy, believe it or not, can be deeply unsettling, especially for someone like Aries, who thrives on momentum and the next adrenaline rush. Joy doesn't ask you to run. It asks you to stay. And staying sitting still in your own emotional fullness is a practice that requires just as much courage as launching into battle. Now enter the Hanged Man, your final outcome card. It's not here to pat you on the back and send you on your way. It's here to flip your world upside down, and not just for fun. The Hanged Man isn't passive, he's powerful. Why? Because he chooses surrender. He surrenders not out of weakness, but because he understands a deeper truth: control is the biggest illusion of them all. He lets go of the plan, the ego, the attachment to how it should look. And in doing so, he receives what control could never deliver: peace, perspective, and yes, divine timing. I often tell my clients, and I'll tell you, Aries, the detour is usually the destination. And for the chosen ones, that would be you. In case you forgot, the scenic route isn't just a pretty backdrop for Instagram photos. It's necessary. It's where you meet the people, the experiences, and the versions of yourself that the straight path could never reveal. The universe rarely shows up in a three-piece suit with a folder of instructions. It shows up in a sideways moment of surrender. And if you're wise, you'll recognize it for what it is, an invitation, not a disruption. And then just when you think it's over, boom! The Ace of Swords. The cosmic mic drop. The divine Excalibur is placed squarely in your hands. Not tomorrow. Not next eclipse season. Now. This card doesn't whisper. It cuts. It clarifies. It says, stop doubting. Stop overthinking. Stop circling the runway. This is your green light, your universal yes, your permission slip from the cosmos itself. The sword is sharp because it's meant to sever the noise, old stories, limiting beliefs, whatever's been weighing down your wings. You've got the clarity now. The only question left is, what will you do with it? So here we are, Aries. If you've made it this far, and I know your attention span has better things to do than sit through a 30-minute reading about soul contracts, then hear this: you are not here by accident. You were meant to find this message. This is your confirmation that you are one of the chosen ones, and your path forward isn't just possible, it's divinely supported. It's daring, it's brilliant, and it's blessed. Let this reading be your reminder to stop waiting for permission, for perfect timing, for external validation. Start creating. Say yes to the life that's already calling you by name. Say yes to the fullness of your joy, even if it scares you. Say yes to the surrender, even when it makes no logical sense. And above all, say yes to yourself. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to like this video, share it with your fellow fire signs, or those who wish they had your courage, and subscribe to Zodiac Talks Tarot. This space is made for seekers like you, those who are done living by default and are ready to live by design. Until next time, Aries, may your fire stay wild, your heart stay open, and your spirit stay unshakably aligned. Now go out there and live like the universe is conspiring for you, because, spoiler alert, it is.